Alright everyone, I want to welcome you all back to some more of a Requiem for Innocence. Oh, I almost had a problem saying that too. Most importantly guys, I want to thank you all for the love and support you continue to give this series. Again, it always means a lot, so thank you very much. We are right now at the very important point or juncture where we face off or about to square off against the Lord. And we all know what happens after that, guys, so I'll just leave it at that and let you guys see for yourselves how it goes. So if anything else, I hope you all continue to enjoy watching, and let's get this going. Alright guys, and we are back. Ginevra and I then discussed the details of her scheme, after which she gave me the Barnier's ring. I doubt anyone would have ever imagined it would end up in the grimy hands of a slum rat. Once our discussion was done, I headed straight to the pub where the rest of the gang liked to congregate. Good, Jacopo! Should you really be on your feet so soon? I'm fine, thanks. I'm glad to hear it. And I'm so sorry about what happened at the brothel. Is the gang here? What? Oh, yes, near the back. Thank you. Are you sure you're okay? Well, look what the cat dragged in. Was just talking about going to whip your sorry ass back into shape. You ain't still moping, are ya? I get it, kid, I do. It's bollocks, but you're a man. Instead of crying, you should be... Gratian. Yeah. It's time we start ourselves a revolution. Are you just gonna stare at me or actually say something? You're the ones always going on about revolution this, revolution that. I think it's called being shocked to silence. You serious about this, Jacopo? Am I the one to joke about this sort of thing? No, you're not. You sure as hell aren't, are ya? Well, it's about damn time if I do say so myself. I knew you'd come around eventually. I knew you wouldn't stay sulky forever. Things would get way better once we rip that head off. Should cut down on the number of people turned to thievery, so we'll never have to deal with anything like what happened at the brothel again. Never again, you hear me? Indeed. What do you have in mind, Jacopo? Didn't you say we need help from a noble to have a chance? We can figure that out after we crush the Lord's skull. Yeah, I don't think that's the best plan. What's gotten into you all? You're always going on about how you want to stage a revolution, and now that we're actually talking about it, you're... No one's wimping out, it's just... We have a noble. For real? Well, if you got it all worked out, why didn't you just say so? So who's your guy? Who's the noble who's agreed to give us a hand? The former lord's illegitimate son. His actual son? Really? That means he could legitimately inherit the lordship. Whoa, how the hell did you get in bed with the biggest fish in the city? If you're telling the truth, this is huge. That don't just give us a leg to stand on, this puts the damn law on our side. So how hard it'd be to set up a meeting with the guy? This ain't some measly uprising. If we're going through with this, I'd like to see our royal sponsor for myself. You're looking at him. Say what? I am the former lord's son. No way, not a chance. Seriously, kid. You need to find yourself a functioning sense of humor, because that just ain't funny. I'm telling the truth. And this ring proves it. It's a nice ring and all, but how does it prove you're a Barnier? Where did you... How? This is the real deal. I was a slave at the Lord's Manor for a while. I've seen the family crest enough to recognize it. As I said, I am not the kind of person to joke about this sort of thing. What? So, wait, you're really... Holy... I can't believe it. One of us is an actual noble? You always did seem a little not like the rest of us, Jacopo, more uptight. Excuse me, guys, I got a catch in my throat. Ah. Pretty sure I said the same thing when I first met ya. That you look like some rich aristocrat kid. This is great, guys. We can actually do this. We can actually make this happen. Let's do it. Let's start a revolution. Yeah! Gratian. Nah. It's nothing. Just surprise is all. Who'd have freaking thought? You, a noble. It's madness. How long have you known? And why didn't you tell me? I thought we were friends. I only found out recently. I'm sorry for keeping it from you. It all happened very suddenly. I was waiting for the right time to say something. No need to apologize, kid. You just put the wind back in our sails. Don't think I'm gonna start buttering you up just because you're a bona fide stick-up-the-ass type now, though. Of course not. The last thing I want to see you is licking my feet. Alright, fellas, we got ourselves a noble, so let's set the date and get this ball rolling. Yeah! What had once been nothing more than a pipe dream was, against all odds, soon to be a reality. Everyone wanted the Lord removed from power. They were angry and frustrated, and on several occasions had even seriously considered resorting to another revolt to make it happen. But no one had been able to turn those emotions into actions. They all knew a revolt was destined to be quashed before it made any difference, that there was no hope to be found down that path. But an actual revolution, that was another story, especially with someone poised to take the Lord's place on their side. They had a fighting chance, and they had no reason not to take it. As the fire in their eyes swelled to a blaze, mine seemed to sputter out, leaving behind a withered husk. I felt as though I was sitting in a theater, watching on as the story unfolded before me. No, that didn't quite capture how I felt. I wasn't even watching it with my own eyes, merely listening quietly as someone recounted for me their heroic deeds. The fact that I was an indispensable part of this operation still hadn't fully sunk in. All I knew was that I wasn't completely powerless anymore. But while fiery passion and hope for the future filled Gratian and the rest of the gang, a dark poisonous revulsion for God and fate streamed in to fill the hole left in me by the attack on the brothel. Preparations proceeded smoothly, with Ginevra providing inside information and guidance. As I had expected, there were a not insignificant number of nobles dissatisfied with the way the Barnier ruled, and they were constantly looking for a way to eradicate the cloud of pestilence hanging over the land. However, the Lord had eyes everywhere in the upper circles, and he was especially mindful of who associated with whom and how often. Any signs of opposition were swiftly dealt with before they had a chance to pose any threat. So the nobility needed an outsider, someone the Lord wasn't on the lookout for, to step in and assert power. Ginevra arranged for several guards in attendance within the Lord's manor to betray him on the day of the revolution. They would open the doors for us from the inside, and we would storm the manor. Structurally, the plan was similar to the slave revolt, the two major differences being my role, and the Lord's death being our primary goal. As the day drew nearer, it was all anyone in the slums seemed to be talking about. Though we did our best to encourage everyone to stay quiet so as to not alert the Lord, it was impossible to keep the excitement contained. And it wasn't long before word reached Maria's ears. She approached me, pale as a ghost, and attempted to talk me out of it. Haven't you had enough danger from one life? Come on, forget about all this revolution stuff. We can build a new brothel and just stay low for the rest of our days. Does that really sound so bad? You're the only friend I've got left, Jacopo. She was practically begging, which she almost never did. While I sympathized with her, Maria's desperation did nothing to try my resolve. And before long, the day was finally upon us. Hear me, my fellow citizens, who live in suffering at the hands of your supposed lord. Within me flows the blood of the previous lord. I am the rightful heir. Behold the Barnier's golden ring, proof that I am of noble birth. Victims of this terrible tyrant, the time has come to start anew, and I shall be the one to lead you down that path. The poor, the hungry, the deprived, all of you, stand with me. Before we commenced our strike on the Lord's manor, I gave a little speech in the city square. Not because we actually needed them to take up arms and fight with us, but because we needed to make a public proclamation of our position before overthrowing the Lord. They needed to know we were not merely opponents of the Lord, but proponents of the common man. that we had a legitimate cause and a legitimate claim to power. If we were to leave them in the dark, it would only sow confusion and unrest when word of the Lord's death came out. They had to see us as their liberators, not a greater evil swooping in to squash a lesser one. The Lord had been squeezing everything he could out of them for years, sucking them dry, so I didn't expect anyone to actually have the willpower to join us. The important thing was that they knew who I was, but I had underestimated them. A slow trickle of people stood to join us, and by the time we were at the city's edge, we have accumulated dozens of additional men, transforming our little uprising to something of a much greater scale. The people have been waiting, day in and day out, for someone to take up their banner and lead the way. It didn't matter that the one holding the banner did so under false pretenses. Intruders! We're under attack! Yeah! Get 'em! Ah! With the added support, our forces rendered the manor's defenses practically useless. Townsfolk flooded the property, overwhelming even fully armored soldiers. Farmers turned the tools of their trade into deadly weapons, plunging all manner of spiked implements into guards' necks. It didn't take long for the pungent stench of blood to fill the air. Panicked servants scrambled away from the chaos as quickly as they could manage. And I made my way through the corridors to the great hall where the Lord presumably waited, Gratian at my side. We're here to relieve you of your head, Lord. Have these savages removed from my property immediately. Yes, my lord. I guess I shouldn't be surprised defenses are heaviest here. Watch yourself, Gratian. You can shove that concern right back where it came from, kid. I ain't about to let a bunch of mooks do me in. No number of these pansy little punks is enough to take me down. Is there any situation capable of tempering that big mouth of yours? You can handle all the guards then. I'll take care of the lord. You want to take the prize all for yourself, kid? Normally I tell you to piss off. But I'll give you this one. It's what the people want besides. Thank you for your understanding. But remember, if you screw this pooch, I'll make sure you're the laughingstock of the whole city. Don't worry, I will come back with his head. The fact that Barnea was still here suggested he knew he had nowhere safer to flee to. Unlike the slave revolt 3 years prior, we were entirely on the offensive this time. He didn't appear particularly perturbed about his predicament, though he likely had little doubt he would make it through the day safely. I knew Barnea was skilled with a sword, and despite all Gratian's talk, the guards he kept by his side were hardly going to be a third rate. They would be the best of the best. Praying Gratian would be able to hold them off long enough, I weaved my way through the wall of armed men, marching straight for the Lord Barnier. He slowly drew his sword, readying himself for combat. Well, imagine that. It's you again. I assumed you had died off in a hole somewhere. Hate to disappoint you, but staying alive is one of my few talents. How fitting for a filthy maggot. Well, I hope you're ready. To be devoured by that very maggot. Oh, I definitely like this. I like how they added some, small amount of animation to this part, because I know some visual novels have this, and the only one I do know that did this before was Fate's Stay Night, and probably a couple of others that I don't know of right now, but that was one of them that I enjoyed. It would seem your tongue has gotten rather sharp since we last met. Do I need to remind you how this played out 3 years ago, do I? Your blade will never get anywhere near my head. I will, however, give you a good reminder of precisely how feeble and worthless you slum rats are. Within me flows the blood of the royal family, direct descendants of God himself, while your blood is made from the refuse of the earth. We are no more the same species as a worm is a wolf. Your very being in my presence is a slight of the highest order. I think you'll find our blood is much more similar than you think. When I take that ugly head off your shoulders, we can both get a good look at how equally filthy your blood is to mine. I am not the boy I was 3 years ago. I'll drag you down from your throne on high and show you for the dregs of the earth you really are. You would dare insult me, cur? We traded strikes, going on offense and defense in roughly equal parts. Barnea was quick on his feet and quicker with his blade. When I attacked, he swayed effortlessly out of its path, like a stalk of wheat in the wind. And when he attacked, he was like a typhoon. He had a prowess that could never be overcome with brute strength. However, I had not spent the last 3 years idle. While I could hardly imitate the refined swordsmanship of a trained nobleman, I had much better grasp on how and when to most effectively put my weight into a swing, how to maintain the ideal amount of distance between us. And there was one other key difference. I had no intention of running. Either I would take off his head, or I would end up a bloody heap on the floor. There was no other way this battle could end. Think about what you're doing, slum rat. About who you're pointing that blade at. An attack on me is an attack on God. It is an act of unspeakable sacrilege. Ha! A little late to take the moral high ground. You afraid of dying? Then put your tail between your legs and start running. You insolent! I am the rightful heir of the Barnier family. The blood of the kings of old flows in my veins. And I am the ultimate ruler of this land and my people. I would never condescend to turn my back. To a worthless rat! Well, don't say I didn't give you the choice. That just means we'll keep on doing this. Until one of us is dead! Every swing, every step, every slight shift of balance had a little more weight than the last. But unlike the last time, where the pressure had only served to light a fire under me, it was now building up inside me, growing, taking form. I could now perfectly trace the path of his blade dancing through the air. Back then, the only advantage I had over Barnier was physical strength and pluck, but things were very different now. He was agile, but I could keep up with him. No, I was beginning to overtake him. Gah! Ha! Allow me to borrow your words if you would. Perhaps you should save the snide yapping for when you have the skill to back it up. Don't get cocky, you insignificant rat. You treacherous cur! Nah. The Lord swung down at me with all his strength, but I managed to parry the strike with little trouble. In that moment, I had undeniable power. Power. That's right. I wasn't powerless, and I could never let myself be powerless again. Ever. And if I couldn't manage that, then I deserved to rot here as the weak, worthless man I was. I had the chance here and now to take out not only the Lord, but the me of old as well, the helpless, impotent boy who couldn't even protect the ones he loved. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll show you that I'm not who I used to be. That I'm not that sniveling little boy from 3 years ago. Gah! Before long, Barnier was coming up against the far wall. You impudent worm! We were both breathing hard, dripping with sweat. The air seemed to waver like there was a fire burning between us. A fire fueled by our own souls. And that heat extended to the entire hall and staunched the fire into the cold winter sitting beyond the walls. Perhaps the room had transformed into the one of halls of hell itself. Where's your god now, huh? Nah! It's time to end this. Your time on this earth has come to an end, Barnier. I readjusted my grip on my sword, repositioned my feet on the hard floor, lining everything up for my final strike, and then threw a little extra fuel in the fire, before breaking into a dash. However... Wait! What? The last person I expected to see stood there between me and the Lord, bringing me to an emergency stop just moments before I could have taken off his head. Jaren? But because I had been running at full speed, I staggered, almost tripping before catching my balance. She reached out, placing her hands on my shoulder, pleading at me with eyes the color of early spring leaves. I could see myself aghast, reflected in those eyes. I shouldn't have stopped. I shouldn't have hesitated, for any reason. I should have knocked Jaren to the side and taken off Barnier's head. But a torrent of questions rained down on me, entangling me from head to toe like a spider's web. Why? How? What was Jaren doing here? Why'd she ask me to stop? Why was she standing between me and Barnier? No. The answer hit me like a bolt of lightning. Only 4 people had survived their raid on the brothel. But we had prepared a safe room underground in case of emergency, and the stairs down were hidden beneath the floorboards. Yet Maria had said they were found quickly and most of the girls taken captive. You didn't. The attack had been well organized and large scale. Could the aroma of the herbs, which was strong enough to be smelled outside, have been some kind of signal? How could you? How could you betray us? What came out of my mouth was not words, though, but a pained, visceral wail. God! Nah! But overpowering everything else I felt was paralyzing shock. I know I should feel a certain way after that strike, but honestly, after that quick epiphany, I do not. Like, I don't feel a thing about what happened to her just now. Like, she betrayed us, man. I can't forgive that. Like, if it wasn't for her, I think everything would have been fine. Like, we wouldn't be having the story of Morgana right now if it wasn't for this betrayal. Or we might still. I'm not certain, but she didn't help the process at all, if anything. The blade sticking out of Jaren's chest pierced my breast. Our blood flowed down opposite ends of the silver edge, melding into a single stream. I had completely lost any sense of what was happening. I left only with a crushing bewilderment. Ha! 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 Barney let out a deep, bellowing laugh from behind Jaren. The sound resonated through the blade in his hand. I could literally feel him mocking me from inside my body. What? Why? How could you do that, Jaren? No. How could you, Martier? Jaren had double-crossed us. As much as I didn't want to believe it, I no longer had much of a choice. She had claimed she thought of us like family, when in reality she was colluding with the Lord. She was the one who had brought ruin upon the brothel. I couldn't reconcile what I saw with what I thought I knew. I couldn't forgive that kind of betrayal, and I couldn't even begin to comprehend Barnier's actions. How can you hide behind her when she stood up for you? How can you so readily cast her aside? She saved your life. How could you do this to her? What are you laughing at? Look at the girl. Look at her face. What? Why was Jaren? How could she possibly smile about any of this? What was going through her mind? She gone mad? I've never seen her like... Wait. Yes. I had. I knew that smile. All too well. When the realization struck, an almost painful chill crawled up my spine. Jaren was always smiling. She could break the ice with anyone in no time. She brought laughter wherever she went. She was endlessly cheerful and sincere to a fault. Flashes of our time together rushed through my mind. She was... Presumably you're thinking the girl's gone mad, but that isn't quite right. No. She's been mad all along. What? Could anyone in their right mind keep smiling after seeing their parents murdered and being sold off? Could anyone in their right mind genuinely believe they don't have a sorrow in the world? Could anyone in their right mind be smiling with a sword sticking out of their chest? I can't. The girl's immalleable mirth is but a different shade of madness. If she weren't mad, she wouldn't be smiling. Jaren lacks the capacity to comprehend negative emotions. That can't be. She's compassionate, empathetic. There's no way she doesn't understand those emotions. It's called the good old-fashioned hard work. She pretends to show compassion, despite the fact others' pain is incomprehensible to her. No, I refuse. You can't tell me there haven't been moments where you've seen the seams in her act. In one of our conversations, I had asked Jaren, have you never felt like you got the short end of the stick? To which she had responded, I don't even know what the stick looks like, never mind which end is the short one. While I assumed she'd either moved on or her threshold for happiness was on the low side. The scale she waited on was outright broken. To tell you the truth, I'm rather fond of the girl. After all, I am a madman myself. I wanted to shut out his words, to act like it was all crazy blather, like I didn't see any truth in it. But all the proof I needed was staring right at me. Jaren was smiling, as bright and as genuine as ever. The same smile she always showed us. As blood streamed down the blade in my chest, and I still couldn't believe it. I still couldn't accept that she had chosen this man over us. You said you thought of us like family, Jaren. What happened to that? What happened to all of our time together? You would throw all of it away for him? Jackie, remember what I said? Excuse me? That I had my eye on someone. And I love you, Jackie, and everyone else at the brothel. But there's someone I love even more. You know, I'm not the cleverest girl. I can only see what's right in front of me. Ah, how possibly idiotic could I be? She never had an eye for me. Her heart had always belonged to Barnier. I was being presumptuous when I assumed she was talking about me at the festival. Why him, though? Why this man of all people? I about fell to my knees, but I managed to hold my balance long enough to stagger back. When the tip of Barney's blade slipped from my chest, the blood it had been holding in seemed to rush out all at once. And with it went everything I was feeling. Ha ha, bruh. Some revolution this turned out to be, Rat. As a parting gift, I'll let you in on a little something. The girl was my pawn from the very beginning, an informant sent to keep me appraised of anything that might spark opposition. If someone's amassing wealth illegitimately, I have them killed, or forced to surrender all their assets to me. If someone says something disagreeable about me, I have them hanged. That scheming wench, Ginevra, was it? It's probably at the bottom of the river by now. But, it would seem I failed to keep everything under control, seeing as you're still breathing and dragging a pack of mindless peasants around with you. That's only a minor inconvenience, though. All I have to do is take off your head, and then without their leader, they'll regress back to the ignorant swine they are. Now it's time we put this ludicrous revolution to rest. Barnier shifted backward slightly, making to pull the sword from Jaren's chest. She moaned, the sound a mixture of agony and ecstasy. I thought I could hear the flesh ripping as the blade passed through it. I should have been readying myself to fight again, to brandish my sword and take the bastard's head. But I couldn't move an inch. Everything seemed to grow distant. My spirit was on the verge of collapse. The fire that had blazed within me had been snuffed out in an instant. Countless memories crumbled before my eyes. The word death flashed in my mind, but it brought with it no fear, only vast hopelessness. Don't you? But as the last of my will threatened to slip from my grasp, I heard a voice. Remember what I said? What? That I want to be together with you. Forever. What do you think you're doing? Let go of the sword, Jaren. Lucidity came rushing back to me. And a split second later, I understood what she meant, what she wanted. I didn't give myself a chance to consider where that road might lead, if I wanted to walk down it, if I would come to regret the decision, or if it was the right thing to do. There was no time to think, only act. I couldn't let this opportunity go, so I shut everything out. My mind, my looming conscience, my sense of right and wrong, my heart. I shut aside every possible distraction, rekindled the near-extinguishing fire of my rage, let out a visceral howl. Nah! And swung. I could feel the impact in my arms as the blade tore through flesh and bone. Jaren's lifeless body dropped to the floor with a thud. And the tip of my blade ripped a gash in Barney's throat. A geyser of blood erupted from his neck. He bent over, writhing in agony, and staggered back a few steps before his legs gave out and he dropped to his knees. His eyes were open wider than I thought possible, and he brought both hands up to his throat to stem the flow of blood. But it did little to help, the crimson stream seeping through the gaps in his fingers. With each beat of his heart, the flow surged, sending up sprays of life blood. Impossible. I was right. Noble blood and peasant blood all looked the same. Grunting and groaning, Barnier pawed at the floor, evidently still convinced he could scamper off and escape somehow. He left behind a trail of blood as he crawled. It was by all rights over. However, there was still one last thing to take care of. I marched over to the Lord and placed my foot on his back, slamming him down to the ground. I'm not leaving without your head. And I owe it to Jaren to reunite you. Wait, if you kill me, the neighboring counts are sure to intervene before you even realize what's happening. Put down the sword, and I'll spare you. You'll spare me? You're in no position to be sparing anyone. You're either a fool or a hopeless optimist. You're not a lord anymore. You have no power. You're just a sick worm. Grr. And the counts, they won't be an issue. I'll be taking over for you, after all. Ha! Is that so? Ha! Ha! And how are you? Planning to do that? You're a peasant. Ginevra entrusted me with a ring that bears the Barnier family crest. I'll use that to make myself out to be the successor to the royal family. And what will you do once you've faked your nobility? You have no experience, not the faintest idea how to be a lord. I'm sure I'll govern better than you ever did. Bah! You're out of your mind. A peasant like you couldn't govern an empty plot of land. Not that being a noble makes one any more qualified, as you have more than clearly demonstrated. I'll take your seat, and then I'll take the world. Ludicrous! Think very hard about this, boy. Killing me will be a mistake you can never fix. Put down the sword. Does death frighten you so much you would deign to beg for your life, Lord? Like I said before we began, though, the only way this ends is with one of us dead. I pressed my sword against Barnier's nape, then leaned into it hard. The blade sank into his flesh, the gash spreading like a crack in glass. Screams of agony echoed through the hall. All the blood in his body seemed to be trying to escape through the gaping hole, creating an ever-growing pool of red around us. Before long, you two will be driven to madness. Excuse me? By the time you've figured out what it means to be a lord, you won't be the kind-hearted friend of the people anymore. Living this life, having no one you can trust, it'll eat away at you, and then you'll... Enough. You'll be your own executioner! Enough! I'll be waiting for you. Down in hell. Here, every guard and every rebel. I have here the Lord's head taken by my own hands. You have no reason to fight any longer. Put down your arms, all of you, and cease this meaningless battle. Our revolution has come to pass. In less than a day's time, the Lord's manor had fallen. Alright guys, I'm going to end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. That honestly took a lot out of me. My voice is wrecked. And it's already wrecked as it is too, by the way. But it was worth it, guys. It was fun. If anything else, we're going to continue on in the next one. So thank you all for watching.